Can everybody here in the back, some of the officers, can you just confirm you're good to go? Good evening, everybody. This is awesome to see so many people here tonight. So thank you so much for coming. For those I might not have met, my name is Erica Scheider, and I serve as the police chief here in Roseville. I took over kind of an interesting time, 2020, in the middle of pandemic and civil unrest, but proud to be serving in this community. Appreciate everyone being here to join us tonight as we gather to celebrate and honor really remarkable work that's done by our officers who have demonstrated incredible courage and selflessness. This evening is about recognizing the actions that have helped ensure the safety and the well-being of our community. I often say a career in law enforcement, it's not a job. It's much more than that, it's a calling. It's a noble profession that demands that individuals rise above the ordinary and confront extraordinary challenges with resolve and purpose. As you're going to hear from some of the examples tonight that we'll share, law enforcement officers willingly put themselves in harm's way to protect others. They truly are the guardians of our communities, and they rush towards danger when others instinctively move away. Just last night, we had a family event for all of the new officers' family to talk about the profession and wellness. And we had a call that came out in the middle of that event of some officers needing help at the mall. It was just a good reminder as all of the officers that were working literally jumped out of their seats and ran out the door. That's just what they do, and they do that every single day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We are here. The past few years have been incredibly challenging for law enforcement, with record numbers of officers leaving the profession, and this is across the country. I'm proud we've done a lot of great work here in Roseville and been able to retain numerous of our officers, but we face challenges as well. So tonight, I think it's really important to acknowledge and express my gratitude to all of the officers that have continued to stay. They've chosen to be part of this profession, and they continue to answer the calls, knowing the dangers and the challenges of this profession. So thank you to all of the officers that are here. Your resilience, your dedication, and your commitment to this noble profession is simply inspiring. While the path isn't always easy, I hope that tonight serves as a powerful reminder of the incredible, incredible purpose behind what we do, and most importantly, the impact it makes on so many people in our community. Tonight, we're also going to recognize a few members of our community who stepped up in critical moments to help us. And then, excitingly, we're going to have several of our newest officers take the oath of office, and we also have a couple promotions that we'll be celebrating. So tonight, we're going to honor the courage, commitment, and the collective spirit that really makes our community stronger and safer. Before we get started with the awards, I want to recognize a few special guests that are here tonight. Not that everybody isn't special, but we've got a few people I want to make sure to acknowledge. If you could please stand and remain standing as I call your name. We've got members of our Police Civil Service Commission, Bob Murphy and Shauna Dees, that are here. And they really are instrumental in our hiring practices and ensuring that we're following the proper state guidelines. We also have, I'm not sure if any of our multicultural advisory members were able to be here. If any of them are here, if they could stand. I know several of them had conflicts, so they might not have been able to make it. But they really have, Etienne, good to see you. They really have been a guiding force for us in helping make sure that our policies and our procedures are lining up with the needs of the community. We also have our city manager, Pat Trudgeon, that's here tonight, if you could stand up. And I'm just really fortunate to have a city leader that really is dedicated to ensuring that our officers have the equipment that they need, the training they need to be safe and to care for our community. And then we also have our several city leaders. We've got Mayor Dan Rowe that we'll hear from in just a couple minutes. And we've got city council members Robin Schroeder, Wayne Groff, Matt Bauer, that are all here if you guys just want to stand. And lastly, I know we've got one member of our police foundation, Lisa Crane. I'm not sure where she is, but I did see her in the back. You missed your chance to grab a seat in the front, but our foundation really is critical to helping to provide. So if we can just give a round of applause to these leaders. You can sit down now. I'm just going to quick introduce the other command staff that's going to be up here presenting in a couple minutes. We've got Deputy Chief Joe Adams, we've got Commander Jennifer Ng, and we've got Commander Travis Steinberg that'll also be assisting and handing out the awards tonight. And with that, I next would like to call up the mayor, who's going to say a few words. So.
Thank you, Chief. It's my pleasure to be here this evening, especially represented by several members of our City Council as well. We are the sort of the representatives and voice of the people of the community in our dealing with policies and budgeting and all of that relates to public safety in Roseville. And so we have a very, not as intimate a knowledge as maybe some people have of what's going on in public safety and certainly in policing in Roseville, but a good knowledge of it, and especially I think what it creates in all of us is a concern for the well-being of all of our officers and all of their support in the form of families and friends and everybody who provides that network of support for our officers. So we're very proud to be supportive by being as a part of this awards ceremony and being here to recognize people who have done excellent things over the last year. I'm always reminded as we see the various events that'll be described this evening of how professional the Roseville Police Force is, and that's something I think we can be very proud of, in this area, in the state, and in the country, really. I think Roseville sets a really high bar of professionalism for our police and how we serve our community, and that's important to recognize and understand. But also behind that is a great deal of work on good policies, good procedures, extensive training, and a real commitment to serving the people and caring for the people that we serve. And we see that once again exemplified in what we'll see this evening in the awards, and every year we see the awards, but just in the day-to-day service also of our officers. So I'm always proud to be a part of this and glad to help celebrate both the officers as well as the members of the public who have merited the recognition this evening. So once again, we're all proud on the council to support and continue to provide the resources for our police officers and police department in Roseville, and look forward to finding out more about what's happened over the last year. Thank you.
And I again just want to thank our council for being here tonight. This is wonderful to see that support. It isn't lost on me that not every city has the same kind of support, but we've been really fortunate to have city leaders and city council members that really appreciate and value and make sure that we have the things we need to be successful. I next just want to, before we jump into the awards, I just want to recognize the award committee members that really made tonight's event possible. So for those that are here, if you can stand up. There we go, a couple. This would not be possible without the work of our awards committee. They spend a lot of time combing through reports, watching body-worn camera, looking through surveillance video. And really, their job is to make sure that the awards that we're recognizing, it's things that have gone above and beyond. There's a lot of tremendous, great work that's done in the police department, but their job is to make sure that we're honoring and recognizing people with the appropriate awards. So thank you so much to the awards committee for all the work that you put in. And just And in the interest of time, we are not doing the letters of commendation, but there were about 10 different cases involving letters of commendation, other just extraordinary work, but we didn't want this to be a 2 or 3 hour event, so officers will be getting those at their roll calls. I also just want to recognize a special thank you to Commander Travis Steinberg, who really oversaw this for the last year and helped kind of pull everything together. And then also Kelly Roberto, our administrative coordinator, and Tom Pitzel, our community relations coordinator. They did kind of all the behind scenes to make sure all this happened, so appreciate everything that they did. And with that, I'm next going to turn it over to Commander Steinberg to come up and start with our 2 citizen awards.
Good evening. The Citizen Award is awarded to a civilian who renders valuable or courageous assistance to the Roseville Police Department, particularly when a suspect is seized and detained for the police, or the citizen's prompt and alert actions help someone else who is in danger or otherwise helps prevent a crime. So, Lieutenant Coe, would you please come forward? Yeah, right here is fine. Thank you. Our first award this evening is for Lieutenant Coe with the Rosedale Security. The incident in question involved a daring robbery where a suspect jumped over the counter and made off with over $50,000 worth of jewelry. The crime unfolded with alarming speed and precision. With little evidence to go on, crucial surveillance evidence was uncovered thanks to the dedication and relentless work from Lieutenant Coe. Lieutenant Coe took the time to methodically review several hours of surveillance footage, identifying key details and moments that would ultimately play a significant role in solving the case. This proactive effort not only provided critical leads, but also highlighted the importance of attention to detail and persistence in pursuing justice. The actions of Lieutenant Coe exemplified the kind of commitment and professionalism that strengthens the partnership between law enforcement and the civilian community, ensuring that those responsible for such crimes are held accountable. Please help me congratulate Lieutenant Coe for his outstanding work on this case. Robert, you want to come forward? On the afternoon of February 3rd, a purse was stolen from a citizen inside the Rosedale Mall. Robert immediately noticed the theft and took decisive action to assist the victim. Despite the potential danger involved, Robert demonstrated incredible bravery by chasing after the suspect through the mall parking lot in a construction zone. At one point, the suspect threatened to assault Robert and attempted to punch him. Thankfully, the suspect missed. At risk to his safety, Robert continued to pursue the suspect. Robert eventually located the suspect who had entered the back seat of an occupied vehicle that was uninvolved in the theft. Robert held on to the physically resisting suspect until our police department officers arrived. Robert did not hesitate to step in, and his swift response resulted in the identification and apprehension of the suspect. Furthermore, Robert ensured that the stolen purse was returned to its rightful owner after directing officers to the location where the suspect had dropped the victim's purse. Robert's actions not only helped bring the thief to justice, but also demonstrated exceptional community spirit and commitment to keeping others safe. It is because of people like Robert that our community remains a safer and more supportive place to live. In light of Robert's outstanding courage and dedication to public safety, the Roseville Police Department is honored to award Robert with our Civilian Award. Thank you.
Good evening. I will be presenting the unit citation. This is awarded to any unit of the department for an intelligent act or series of acts that materially contribute to a valuable police accomplishment, exceptional police work, or an unusual accomplishment involving personal danger or service under adverse conditions. This award rewards teamwork by at least 2 or more officers. This year, we are honoring several officers for their exceptional police work with 6 unit citations. If you see your name on this slide, please come forward now. We'll wait for you to get up here, Jake. In May 2022, the Roseville Police Department received an anonymous tip about a possible brothel in an unknown apartment. An additional tip later confirmed suspicious activity, raising concerns of potential human trafficking. In recognition of their dedication, we awarded our community action team a unit citation for their tireless work on this case throughout the year. Since then, the co-leads of the investigation, Detective Christine Marston and Sergeant Jake Swanson, continue to work on this case. Through detailed surveillance, they estimated that approximately 20 females were trafficked into Minnesota and housed in 2 apartments owned by the suspects. These women were coerced into human trafficking. In January 2023, the Ramsey County Attorney's Office determined the case met the threshold for prosecution. Detective Marston and Sergeant Swanson coordinated the efforts of over 30 personnel to arrest the primary suspects and execute simultaneous search warrants at 3 locations in different cities. Since then, the 2 primary suspects have pled guilty to felony charges. This investigation stands as a testament to the dedication, skill, and collaboration of the officers and detectives involved in exposing and dismantling a complex human trafficking operation. Their commitment to justice not only held the perpetrators accountable, but also provided hope and support to the victims of this crime. And now I'll have the officers from the park takeover event step up. On June 7th, Roseville officers were given short notice of a park takeover event that was moving into the city. Park takeovers have become a troubling phenomenon where juveniles from across the state gather in large crowds and engage in riot-like behavior. These events have led to shootings, robberies, and other serious crimes. Upon arrival, officers found 300 to 400 juveniles parking near Central Park and heading towards the pavilion. Officers proactively established a loose perimeter around the park. About 10 minutes into the event, 7 gunshots were heard coming from within the crowd. After confirming there were no injuries, officers quickly mobilized both ground and air teams to manage the large disorderly crowd. Our drone was launched to provide real-time updates to officers. These officers successfully handled a chaotic scene despite being heavily outnumbered. Their swift actions to disperse the crowd not only prevented injuries, but also limited damage to the park. Congratulations. Is it just us? All right. Here we go. The investigative team is nominated for their exceptional collaboration, persistence, and investigative excellence in solving a drive-by shooting that occurred at the Harmar Wingstop on July 5th. Initially, 2 of the victims did not come forward and had to be located. Detectives successfully conducted separate interviews with witnesses, corroborating their statements with surveillance footage from a nearby business. Using advanced tools, such as license plate readers and phone data mapping, they identified key suspects and confirmed their involvement in the crime. The team also linked the firearm used in the incident to multiple violent crimes across the metro. They used cell phone information to track the primary suspects' movements and confirm their presence at the crime scene. The investigation required coordination with multiple agencies, including the Minnesota Violent Crime Task Force, Hennepin County SWAT, and the Bloomington Police Department. The integration of covert surveillance equipment and the SWAT team's execution of the high-risk search warrant minimized risks to both the public and law enforcement. The investigative work led to the identification and arrest of 2 suspects involved in the shooting. One was charged with multiple felonies, including second-degree assault and reckless discharge of a firearm. The team's thorough approach ensured the successful recovery of critical evidence, including live ammunition and DNA samples, which strengthened the case for the prosecution. This investigation highlights the department's commitment to resolving violent crimes that endanger the community. The removal of a firearm linked to multiple shootings and the apprehension of those responsible has significantly contributed to public safety in Roseville and the broader metro area.
If your name's on here, go ahead and step up. I will point out that Officer Leah Cundiff Unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately for her, no longer works at the Roseville Police Department. Her husband got a job in Salt Lake City, and she is currently in the police academy down there at the moment. So she will not be in attendance, unlike the last slide where several of those folks are in warmer climates. So for the first one here. On September 24th, while working a multi-jurisdictional auto theft detail, Officer Cundiff observed a male on a scooter with an altered license plate. The male was evasive and provided false information about his identity. When officers attempted to arrest him, the suspect grabbed a sling pack, fled, and pulled Officer Cundiff down a steep embankment and into the woods, as you can see on the picture here. Officer Tanis and a Maplewood officer pursued the suspect, eventually apprehending him after Officer Tanis deployed his taser. A firearm, extended magazine, and ammunition were recovered from the suspect's sling pack. The suspect, who had multiple warrants, was charged with assaulting a police officer, firearm possession without a permit, and several additional offenses. Securing these charges is not typical. However, Detective Turan's experience and coordination with the Ramsey County Attorney's Office paid off, making sure that this suspect was held accountable. These officers and detectives demonstrated exceptional teamwork and professionalism in safely resolving this dangerous situation. Congratulations, guys. All right. The Roseville Police Department Detective Unit is being recognized with the Unit Citation Award for its outstanding teamwork and dedication in solving a violent assault case. This challenging investigation centered on the brutal assault of a young victim at a local gas station, which resulted in several facial injuries and the loss of teeth. The victim was unable to recall the incident due to brain trauma, making the case even more difficult to solve. Despite these obstacles, the detective unit worked to overcome significant challenges, including identifying masked suspects and linking them to the crime through physical and digital evidence. Their innovative investigative efforts included analyzing extensive surveillance footage to identify suspects and their actions, executing search warrants to gather crucial evidence such as cell phone records and items from the suspect's vehicle, collaborating with other agencies including the Mille Lacs Tribal Police and Anoka PD to locate and apprehend suspects across multiple jurisdictions, using digital forensics to track suspect movements and corroborate timelines with cell phone data. The detectives successfully identified and arrested all three suspects, including the one who continued to assault the victim after he was lying unconscious. Their tireless efforts exemplify the highest standards of law enforcement. For this, they're being awarded the unit citation. Pavlik, I know I saw you at one point. All right. On November 14th, Officer Pavlik responded to a shoplifting call at Lululemon in Rosedale Center. Although the suspects denied wrongdoing, further investigation revealed they had stolen over $4,900 worth of merchandise the previous day. Detective Martin used license plate readers to locate the suspects in Woodbury, where they were ultimately arrested. During the arrest, officers uncovered stolen credit cards and other evidence. Detective Martin's investigation also led to a hotel room in Bloomington where nearly $35,000 in stolen Lululemon merchandise was recovered. The suspects were linked to a remarkable $1 million worth of Lululemon theft across the entire country, utilizing a sophisticated return fraud scheme. The quick thinking and teamwork of Detective Martin and Officer Pavlik were critical in dismantling this large-scale theft operation. Their efforts resulted in the first ever organized retail theft charges in Ramsey County, setting a new precedent. Their dedication and professionalism are a testament to the highest standards of law enforcement, and for that, they're being awarded the unit citation.
Okay, next I'm going to be presenting 3 individual citations, and the first one is for Officer Denny Cook. See, you should have taken one of the seats in the front. You'd already be here. You could just jump right up. Denny works at the mall, and we often joke that he gets all of his steps in an average day work in the mall, sometimes 20,000, so it's impressive. In June of 2024, Officer Denny Cook was on patrol in the area of County Road C in Cleveland. At that time, he was also training one of our new officers. He ran checks on the vehicle in front of him, and he noticed that the owner of the car, their license was revoked. He also saw that the owner of the car was part of a protection order due to an active domestic assault case. After pulling up next to the vehicle, he discovered that the passenger in the car was the suspect who was not supposed to be having any contact with that driver. He ended up stopping the vehicle as it pulled into one of our motels. Just as he was confirming that the passenger was the person that was ordered not to have any contact with that victim because of this active domestic violence case, the passenger suddenly jumped out of the vehicle and took off running. As he was running away, the Officer Cook could see that he was trying to access something inside the bag he was carrying. Eventually, Officer Cook was able to catch up with him and take him into custody after deploying his taser. Inside the bag that the suspect was carrying, that Denny saw him digging in, officers recovered a loaded firearm with a tactical light and an extended magazine. They also found over 300 illegal pills. Suspect was charged with violating not only the no contact order, but also the gun charge. The same suspect had a recent robbery out of Hennepin County, and he recently was convicted on these charges as a result of Officer Denny Cook's proactive enforcement. So, thank you. We next are going to recognize Reserve Officer Al Stasny and Reserve Officer Bill Seifert. So if they would like to make their way forward, you guys are making your way forward. Perfect. I'm really honored to be here tonight to issue this award. Together, Al and Bill have dedicated nearly 40 years of volunteer service to our community. This incredible milestone speaks to their commitment. But what sets them apart is not just the time that they've given, it's the way that they've given it. Their selfless sacrifices include countless nights, weekends, and holidays spent serving this community. No matter the hour or the circumstances, they always came with a positive attitude. They approached every situation with professionalism, and their optimism and steady presence have been instrumental in strengthening the bond that we have with our residents. The Reserve program has evolved over the years, but when Al and Bill first joined, it was a different time. Reserves often came in and went on regular patrol at least once a week. I think both of them sometimes came in 2 or 3 times a week. But we'd also call them out in the middle of the night for significant events to help with traffic or to help at a crime scene. I can recall many a times when I was in investigations that we were just overwhelmed, we needed resources, and one of these gentlemen would show up to say, what can I do to help? And often they'd work throughout the night, volunteering, not getting paid, and then go to their regular jobs during the next morning. And really the level of dedication is rare and I think really speaks to their character. I'm gonna start with just talking a few minutes about Al. Al Stasny joined the Roseville Reserves in 1991, dedicating over 5 years until his real job with the Coast Guard came calling and had some demands. So he took a little bit of a break, but then he came back to us in 2016, and he's been an integral part of our reserves ever since, right up until his retirement that we've tried to talk him out of, but I think Shop with the Cop was probably the last event that we got to get his assistance. Over the past decade, Al has been instrumental in training many of our reserves, many who went on to become full-time officers. His commitment extended beyond patrol duties. He has volunteered so many hours planning major events like Rosefest, Shop with a Cop, and really nearly, I think, every other city event that has large crowds or requires traffic control. Last week, I had the chance to ask Al about his early days with the reserves. Remember, this is back to 1991, before my time. I'm just going to preface that, so it was a different time. But I asked him to share some of the stories that stood out. And one incident he recalled early on in his reserve days is there was a fire at an apartment complex behind Burger King. And all the officers were tied up. And so the sergeant got on the radio and said, "Al, are you free?" And he was, and said, "Turn your lights and siren on and get over there." And that's what he did. I mean, this is a volunteer. He shows up at a fire and starts pulling people out of a burning building. Again, a different time, but it really just speaks to Al's work ethic. Another time, he recalled that Roseville officers had a suspect that ran into the park. A big part of our reserves was patrolling the parks. And so officers weren't quite sure where to start with a search, so they called Al over and asked if he would help find the fugitive in the park, and he did. Bill has been a part of the Roseville Reserves for over 25 years, but his connection to the city runs even deeper. Bill spent his entire life in Roseville, and he mentioned that now he lives just down the street from where he grew up. As a child, he saw one of his neighbors, a Roseville police officer, get picked up for shifts, back when we used to have squad pickups of our officers. And those early impressions convinced him to attend the Roseville Police Academy back in 1999, and it sparked his interest in becoming a reserve officer. Interestingly, he told me he almost didn't become a reserve officer because his application got lost. So he applied, never got the call back, but thankfully reached out and joined the team. For the past 25 years, he has been a cornerstone of the reserve unit, working just about every city event that we have had. We started to try to count how many police officers got their start with our reserve program and under his guidance and his training, but we lost count. I asked him also to remember or recall some of the stories that stuck with him, and I think the one that stood out is on August 1st, 2007, at 6 p.m., the 35W bridge over the Mississippi River collapsed. It was an all hands on deck. Bill was at his mom's birthday party when the call came through from someone else saying, "Did you see what just happened?" Without hesitation, he ran out of his mom's birthday, got his uniform on, and was at the police department within minutes, quicker than most of our officers. Bill and his fellow reserves played a critical role that evening, helping to shut down 35W, which is monumental to suddenly have to shut down an entire freeway system with limited resources. And then he had later assisted with traffic control near the bridge. All of this is volunteer time that they've done over the years. Just noted that for many of us at the police department, the arrival of spring didn't come when we started seeing the trees budding or we started seeing the snow melt. It was when we saw these two start showing up at the police department and we knew summer events were starting to ramp up and we needed to start planning. Whether it was traffic control for Rosefest, 4th of July fireworks, and all of the other events that they were so integral to. Al and Bill, we're going to miss you. It's not too late to change your mind and come back, but you are leaving some incredibly large shoes to fill. Thank you for your service and the profound difference that you've made in our entire community, and just know that you will always be considered a member of the Roseville Police Department. Next, we've got one award of merit that we're going to be presenting. And so I'd like to call up K-9 Officer Mitch Christensen, Officer Boa Chang, and Officer Ryan Pavlak. At 1 a.m. on May 8th, officers were dispatched to a 911 hang-up call. Dispatch advised the officers that they could hear a female saying several times, "Get the gun out of my face," and then the line disconnected. Officer Christensen was just down the street. He parked his squad and quickly started walking towards the parking lot. He could hear a male yelling, swearing, and making threats. The male also made a comment that he was ready to take on the police and do what he needed to do. Officer Christensen, from kind of behind cover, actually what's on the picture, as he was looking into the parking lot, he then saw the male running around the vehicle trying to get inside. He could see that the male had a gun in his hand, and he then heard the suspect rack around into the chamber of the gun. All of this occurred just as backup officers Chang and Pavlik arrived. As soon as the suspect saw the officers, he took off running with the gun still in his hand. After a short foot chase through a very dark parking lot, officers were finally able to catch up to the suspect as he ran into an apartment building. He was taken into custody just inside the apartment, and the handgun was recovered and a round was found in the chamber. The victim later reported that she had been dating the suspect for several years and he had been extremely physically abusive throughout their relationship. She was trying to get away from the suspect by locking herself in her car, but that's when he pulled out the gun and threatened her. The suspect had 6 prior felony convictions for serious violent crimes, including domestic assault charges, and was ineligible to have a gun. The case was originally charged at by the Ramsey County attorney, but because of how violent this suspect was, the case was referred to federal prosecutors, and he has since pled guilty and will be sentenced in April. And I will tell you, I watched this body-worn camera. I read the reports when the incident happened, but I watched the body-worn cameras, and it just gives you chills on how fast all of this evolved and the quick thinking that our officers had to do to not only save this woman's life, but to not have this turn into a deadly force incident. So it's just amazing the work that they did under really challenging, dark parking lot, walking up on foot with all of this happening. So they are being awarded today with the award of merit. So please join me in congratulating them. And I should have noted, if you didn't get photos, we'll have a chance afterwards that you guys are people are welcome to come in and come up and take photos. This next award is the Eric Christensen Leadership Award. And I realize a lot of our staff may have no idea who this is. This year marks the 18 years since the passing of Sergeant Eric Christensen. He courageously fought a really aggressive battle with cancer. Eric was a true Roseville native. He grew up in our community, and he served the Roseville Police Department as a reserve officer and then a police officer from 1990 to 2006. Eric served in just about every specialty role that we had, and then I'm sure he created a few of them. No matter the task, you could count on him. He just got things done, and if things weren't going well, he found solutions. He found ways to fix it. He always went above and beyond and was always committed to making sure our community and our department was the best he could be. In 1999, he was promoted to sergeant and then oversaw our investigation unit. He led with passion, humility, and a constant drive to make things better. And his love for the job and dedication to our community endured until his final days. Eric was my boss at the time, and I could still remember he'd be in the hospital getting chemo and things weren't going well, and he'd still be logging on the computer assigning cases. And we'd be like, "Eric, just rest." And he just loved what he did, and he did it all the way up until the end. To honor his legacy, we created the Eric Christensen Leadership Award, which is a tribute to the values of leadership, service, and integrity that he showed every single day he showed up. As I mentioned, I was fortunate to have worked with him. He was my primary FTO, and I can tell you the leader I am today is a lot because of who he was and what he taught me. And I'm really proud that we can honor his memory through this award. And that gets me to Officer Tom Hickey. Tom was nominated for this award by his peers. He's been with the department since 2016, And he too has held just about every specialty position, including field training officer, peer support, wellness, explorer advisor, recruitment team, lead instructor for our new hire academy, and the list goes on. He's received numerous awards, including the department's highest award, the Medal of Honor, an Award of Merit, and 18-unit citations. He has also volunteered with the Special Olympics and Law Enforcement United, which is a bike ride that honors fallen officers. Tom's leadership is often just quietly in the background, where some of his most important work takes place. He has transformed our new hire academy to ensure that we are giving officers the best training that we can and preparing them for their career. He brings truly unmatched energy and focus to training, setting really high standards while consistently delivering encouragement and support, and sometimes even making things fun. One colleague put it best: Tom is the heart and the soul of the academy, pouring everything he has into building the foundation for our recruits and the future of this department. His mentorship extends far beyond the academy. He invests time into the growth of our CSOs, helping to mentor them, whether it's offering ride-alongs, providing resources, or giving feedback. One officer shared, "Tom has been instrumental in my development, not just as a police officer, but as a person. He goes out of his way to ensure I have what I need to succeed." Another area that he really has shined is his commitment to wellness. From creating family events to leading our peer support team, he consistently prioritizes the well-being of his partners. His actions speak volume, whether he's cooking meals for entire crews or simply checking on a teammate. One colleague remarked, "Tom sets a standard for what a partner should be. He's always leading by example and ensuring his teammates are cared for, often before himself." Tom's influence is felt in every corner of our department. As another officer described, he doesn't need bars on his collar to lead. His actions inspire us all. He's a standard we all try to be. With his humility, dedication, and his genuine care for officers, he exemplifies what it means to be a leader. He places the team first, always prioritizing himself over others. And for this reason, Officer Tom Hickey is truly deserving of the Eric Christensen Leadership Award. Please join me in recognizing him. Okay, so we are now going to move on to our swearing-in ceremony. I know there must have been a call because I saw a bunch of officers run out, so hopefully everyone is still here that needs to be sworn in, or we'll have to circle back. But if the officers could come up that are being sworn in that are listed on the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you guys are still all here. Good. I saw people running out. I'm like, oh, please don't let it be any of the ones getting sworn in. So if you guys want to come right over here. If you want to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and your name,
I, Amber Cisneros,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer in the city of Roseville and the state of Minnesota to the best of my judgment and ability. Congratulations. If we can have everybody but Amber come back over here, and Amber is going to be the first one that we're going to do the pinning of the badge, and I'll just read a quick bio about Amber. She was born and raised in Apple Valley, Minnesota. She was a middle child with an older brother and a younger sister. She grew up in a family that was full of strong personalities, so she quickly developed an attitude to learn to hold her own. In high school years, she participated in swimming, lacrosse, and choir while attending the University of Wisconsin River Falls, where she worked as an EMT and volunteer firefighters. In the years of working as a first responder, she found she wanted to pursue policing and help others in a different way. After graduation, she got married to her husband, Billy, and got a house in River Falls with her 2 dogs, Lily and Spike. In her spare time, she enjoys spending time with family and friends, working out, and the outdoors. And she is currently assigned to the night shift, and I believe Amber's sister, Andrea, will be coming up to pin on her badge. No pressure. The good thing is most of the officers have their vests on, so just in case they poke it a little far through, we're probably okay. Good enough. There you go. Welcome. Bridget? Bridget is originally from East Bethel, but she spent most of her time growing up in Maplewood with her aunt and 2 cousins. She attended Jamestown University, where she played college soccer while earning a degree in criminal justice and a minor in psychology. Bridget's many life experiences growing up fueled her passion for policing and her desire to help others. She now shares a beautiful home with her loving fiancé, Justin, and her energetic dog, Dexter. In her free time, she enjoys playing hockey, hiking, going on ATV rides, and building just about anything she can get her hands on, although she likes to joke that she's a combination of Wreck-It Ralph and Bob the Builder, depending on the day. I think I'll remember that if we need her for any projects. Bridget is incredibly grateful for the support of her family and friends who have always encouraged to strive for excellence, and she's thrilled to take on this new role as a police officer and looks forward to serving. One funny story I just had to share: when Bridget was early on as an intern, we suddenly one day couldn't get into all this whole financial program with the state. It was all of our grant management and all the money, and we all of us got locked out. And so we called the state, and what's going on with this account? And they said, well, your financial fiscal agent is Bridget. We're like, she's an intern. I don't know how it happened, but suddenly Bridget was in charge of all of our grants and the financial money coming from the state. So we did get that reversed, but really excited. I often joke, it's like we got to see her grow up in the department, going from an intern and now serving our community. And Maplewood Lieutenant Mike Dugas, who is Bridget's uncle, is going to be coming up to pin on her badge. Hopefully he's got this. Cameron, you're up. Cameron was born in Montana, and he moved to Elk River shortly after this, where he spent his childhood. Growing up, he found an interest in basketball and continued playing up until college, and that is important as we go along. While attending Hamline University, he completed an internship at the Roseville Police Department, and that's kind of where his path to becoming an officer began. After graduating from Hamline, he finished his law enforcement license program and became an officer with Roseville. Again, just kind of watching him grow up, so it's kind of exciting. One memorable moment since becoming an officer was when Cameron's field training officer brought him to a local park and bet him he couldn't make a 3-point shot in 3 attempts, and then told him if he didn't make one of them, he needed to walk back to the police department. Cameron said he hadn't touched a basketball pretty much since high school, and he missed the first 2 shots. But with the pressure on, he made the last shot, and he didn't have to walk back to the police department. He hopes that one day he will become a field training officer with Roseville and can make his recruits shoot hoops to avoid having to walk back to the police department. I have so many questions that I need to ask later. Cameron now lives with 3 of his college friends, and he enjoys golfing any chance he gets. Maybe not quite so right now. And Cameron's mother, Megan, will be coming up to pin on his badge. Next up, we've got Bob Durant. Bob grew up in Clearwater, Minnesota. During his youth, he was very active in sports, including hockey, soccer, and lacrosse. While attending St. John's University, he transitioned to mixed martial arts. And after graduation, he pursued this passion all the way to Thailand in hopes of becoming a professional martial arts fighter. Eventually, and probably smartly, he realized that getting punched in the face every day is not an ideal long-term career path. So he returned home and rediscovered a passion for strength and conditioning. In 2020, Bob and his wife, Andrea, moved to Roseville, where Andrea purchased Timberwolf Fitness, which is a fitness center located here in Roseville. In addition to starting a new career this past year, Bob and Andrea welcomed their first child, Riley, into the world. He's excited about this transition to the Roseville Police Department while currently navigating the joys and the sleep deprivation of new fatherhood. And his wife, Andrea, is going to be coming to put his badge on. Welcome. And last, but certainly not least, we're excited to be officially swearing in Mike Mays. He was born in the city of St. Paul to his parents, Joanne Gordon and Reuben Mays, and he grew up with three siblings, Gordon, Clarice, and Jacqueline. Growing up, they spent a lot of time in Mount Pleasant, which is a small town in Tennessee, with their grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. He attended Como Park Senior High School and was involved with multiple sports, including football, baseball, wrestling, and track. And he was involved in the Junior Reserve Officer Training Program. He graduated high school in 2005 and attended Lincoln University, located in Jefferson City, Missouri. After living in Missouri for 2 years, he returned to Minnesota and decided to pursue his passion of becoming a barber, enrolling at Minneapolis Community and Technical College. His plans changed quickly, and he decided to pursue instead a career in law enforcement. Although someone told me he still has really good barber skills, so I'm trying to see if we have any closet spaces that we could convert to a barber shop and then use that as a recruitment tool. After graduating, he worked as a community service officer with the Minneapolis Police Department and eventually was assigned to the 4th Precinct. He worked several specialty positions, including honor guard, use of force instructor, community response team, and a field training officer. In 2020, he joined the United States Air Force, Minnesota Air National Guard, and was stationed in Texas for approximately 8 months. Through his basic military training, he was recognized for his leadership, his teamwork, motivation, and was selected as a dorm chief position, which had to help keep 50 to 70 airmen in line. No easy feat, I imagine. He was later awarded a certificate from the Air Force due to his outstanding leadership skills. In February 2023, he transitioned to the Minnesota State Patrol and started working the overnight shift, and then eventually recently came to Roseville Police Department. He noted while attending college, he met his wife at their local church in St. Paul. These are his words, not mine. After a long period of procrastination, he eventually asked her to marry him. They have 6 children together, 5 boys and 1 girl, so obviously a busy home, and they currently reside in the city of Inver Grove Heights. And Mike's wife, Dre, will be coming to pin up his badge. And I also want to note that Officer Mays recently learned he's going to be deployed overseas, so we're certainly going to miss him and look forward to his safe return, hopefully later this fall. I think we ordered like tricky badges or something. They always seem to get stuck on the bottom.
think I'd be useful.
No pressure, they're not even paying attention. Tonight, we also have the honor of swearing in two of our newest sergeants, Sergeant Ryan Duxbury and Juan Turan. I will tell you that the role of police sergeant is probably one of the most crucial and demanding positions in any police department. Our sergeants serve as a backbone of our department, and they carry a tremendous amount of responsibility overseeing their teams and often the safety of the entire city. I often say, well, many of us are at home sleeping, including me. It's the sergeants that are literally in charge of the entire city. Both Sergeant Duxbury and Sergeant Turan are now assigned to the night shift, a role that requires a unique level of dedication. They have demonstrated the leadership, integrity, and commitment needed to succeed, and I have no doubt that they're going to continue to rise to the occasion and serve as exemplary leaders for our department. And even in the short time that they've been in the positions, they've done a wonderful job. I'm going to ask you both to come over here, and we will do the oath. If you guys can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and then state your name.
I, Ryan Duxbury,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I'll faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of police sergeant
the duties of police sergeant
in the city of Roseville
in the city of Roseville
and the state of Minnesota
in the state of Minnesota
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and abilities.
Oh, you can't leave yet. Nope, gotta come back. We'll start just a quick introduction of Sergeant Ryan Duxbury. And if you want to come over, you have to come over in like the hot area, there, under the lights. Ryan was raised and born in Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. He grew up running around the sidelines of his dad's high school football teams and hunting and fishing with his grandpa. He attended the University of Minnesota Duluth, where he earned his bachelor's degree in criminology and political science, and was a student athlete on the football team. Ryan was hired with the Roseville Police Department in 2019, and he has and continues to be involved in a number of specialty positions, including SWAT operator, use of force instructor, field training officer, and a background investigator. He also is extremely passionate and involved with our Officer Wellness Committee and peer support. In 2022, Ryan was recognized with the highest awards in the state for his bravery and courage responding to an active shooter and being hit by gunfire, including being named First Responder of the Year and Officer of the Year by the Minnesota Chiefs of Police. He has attended numerous leadership courses and is ultimately working towards his master's degree. While attending UMD, he met his now beautiful wife, Anna. Anna is a special education teacher in the South Metro, and they got married in Duluth this past summer and live with their 13-year-old golden retriever, Corona. Ryan is thankful for the amazing partners he's had to work with, and he enjoys traveling with Anna, hunting and fishing with his dads and friends in his free time. And Ryan's wife, Anna, is going to be coming up to pin on his badge. That might set the record of the fastest pinning on that we've had, so good to, Andy, you might have to do training next time for everyone. Next, Juan Turan wants to come over. I'll quick do his bio, and then we'll do the pinning of his badge. Juan Turan is originally from Minneapolis, and he spent some early years in the Twin Cities before going to high school and college in Madrid, Spain. He also spent a year in Lyon, France, where he earned his master's degree in business. He originally was a CSO with another metro agency, but I'm really happy that we were able to steal him away, and he joined the Roseville Police Department as an officer in 2013. He briefly stepped away from law enforcement in 2020, but it wasn't long that he decided his passion was here and he returned. His career has spanned a lot of different roles, including explorer advisor, field training officer, firearms instructor, financial and violent crimes investigator, and the list goes on and on. He was also involved in the city's Government Alliance on Racial Equity. He served as a mentor to numerous people on the department, as well as an advisor to students looking to pursue a law enforcement career. Outside work, Juan stays active with his 14-year-old daughter, Gia's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments, his 11-year-old son Noah's swimming meets, and his own master's swimming competitions. I did ask Noah ahead of time, does your dad really swim? And he said yes, so I was not aware of that. Juan enjoys yoga, motorcycling, snowboarding, and traveling, and he's visited every continent except Antarctica. With his adventurous lifestyle, he's no stranger to the ER, I can attest to that, and occasionally has a mishap, including a broken bone from yoga. I just have so many questions. Juan lives in constant motion with his wife, Annika, and their 2 kids, and Rosita, not my words, again his, their very awkward but affectionate dog. Again, a lot of questions that I've got. We'll have to ask later. Whether it's a road trip or a new challenge, he's always ready for the next adventure. And Juan's wife, Annika, is going to be coming up to pin on his badge. I did ask his son who's faster swimming, and he said his dad is, but I don't think it's going to take long till he'll be beating him in the swim meets. And then last, we have a new commander, and that's Jeff Lopez. Although he's not here tonight, I offered to FaceTime into his beach that he's vacationing on right now. He didn't seem that interested, so, but I do want to congratulate Jeff Lopez, who recently was promoted and took over our investigation unit. And lastly, to kind of close things out tonight, before we close, I want to take a moment to recognize all of the officers that have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. Sadly, the toll on law enforcement continues to grow. 2024 was not a great year. Line of duty deaths across the country rose by 25%, and our region was hit really hard this last year. I think I can speak for probably every officer in this room and maybe every officer in the metro. We're all sick of wearing the mourning bands and going to funerals, and we all find ourselves just, it's been a challenge. So while tonight is a celebration of courage and leadership, I think it's also an opportunity to remember those that have made the ultimate sacrifice, and especially the 3 members of the Roseville Police Department who gave their lives serving this community. Officer Howard Johnson was killed by gunfire while courageously attempting to arrest a bank robbery suspect. We have Officer Bruce Russell, who lost his life to gunfire after trying to stop a fleeing suspect. He'd only been with our department a year at that time and left behind a wife and an infant daughter. And then K-9 Major, who died in 2013 following complications stemming from stab wounds inflicted by a burglary suspect who had ran from officers and then was hiding in the woods. I think just remembering their sacrifices and the sacrifices of countless officers across the country remind us of the profound risks that come with this profession. And so if we can just take a moment to remember their bravery and the ultimate price that they paid. And last, I just want to end with the last thing. I think it's really important that we recognize the unwavering support of the families behind the badge. I will tell you, the families behind the badge are often the unsung heroes standing in the shadows. Behind every officer, there's a family that bears the weight of their loved one's commitment to duty. They too endure sleepless nights and the ever-present concerns. They have to navigate missed birthdays, holidays, and countless other moments that their loved one is gone serving our community. And all too often, they witness firsthand the emotional toll this noble profession can take. It doesn't just affect our officers, but it's the families. So tonight, as we honor and celebrate our law enforcement officers, let's also extend our deepest gratitude to the families, and especially the ones here tonight that came to support us. Your sacrifices don't go unnoticed, and we're grateful for all of the support that you provide. You really are part of our law enforcement family, and we thank you for standing by our side as our officers answer one of society's most noble callings. So again, thank you to everyone who came out tonight. We hope you'll take a couple minutes to stick around to either do photos or to congratulate our officers. And again, I couldn't be prouder to lead this department and this community. So thank you for coming. And there's treats in the back, so please help yourself before you leave.
I was like, I can see the bad.